Islam's so scary. I had a nightmare that I had to fight him.
And Islam is great. Trust me. These Daggy boys, they know what they're doing. They have their own pedigree, and they're great.
I will finish him. I'm a best fighter in the world right now.
For a guy from Dagestan who's all about being serious and tough in the Octagon, Islam Makhachev is doing well for himself. With 3 title defenses under his belt and 14 straight wins, he's way ahead of everyone else in the men's pound-for-pound rankings. But what do other UFC fighters actually think of Makhachev? Do they see him as the real deal, or just another Dagestani fighter in a long line of them? Islam Makhachev has always been in the shadow of Khabib Nurmagomedov. They look almost identical, act the same and come from the same place, so it's easy to mix them up. Like Nurmagomedov, Makhachev started by fighting unknown opponents. Because of this, people often saw him as overrated or just another Khabib wannabe. But when he finally started facing top fighters, he proved everyone wrong. He took down big names like Charles Oliveira and Volkanovski, climbing to the top to become the pound-for-pound king of the UFC. At first, Makhachev seemed a bit shy and reserved, mainly because of the language barrier. It made it hard for him to connect with the MMA fanbase. But as he got more comfortable with English and everything that comes with being a top fighter, you could see his trademark smirk more often. Plus, it helps when you've only lost once in 27 fights, and as Daniel Cormier likes to say, there are levels to this game, and right now, Islam Makhachev is sitting at the top level. Now we all know that Khabib Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev are best friends, and that Khabib's his coach too. They've been training together since they were kids. Even when Khabib was at the top of the game, Makhachev was the only one who could beat him in sparring. Khabib really gets how talented and skilled Makhachev is. Honestly, he sees Makhachev as a top-tier fighter and truly believes he has what it takes to rule the UFC.
Even like there is levels, you know. There is fighters, there is champions, and there is elite. My opinion is like Islam is elite.
Alright, so Makhachev's been in the professional fighting scene since 2010, but he had to wait 5 years before he could make his UFC debut. That happened at UFC 187 on October 3rd, 2015 against Leo Kuntz. He won the fight with a rear naked count, and from there, he just kept racking up wins against some pretty decent fighters. You'd know how good he is, even when he was fighting guys who weren't at the top of the rankings. The problem was, he never really got a chance to stand out while Khabib was in the spotlight. For years, Makhachev was kind of in Khabib's shadow, but when Khabib retired at the height of his career, especially after losing his dad and coach, Abdul Manap, Makhachev took the opportunity to step up, and man has he been killing it. One thing that sets Makhachev apart from Khabib is his striking game. Makhachev is way more relaxed and confident when it comes to stand-up fighting. His kickboxing is super smooth, which lets him pull off those sneaky head kick knockouts, like the one he landed at UFC 294 against Alexander Volkanovski. It's this striking ability that makes people like Daniel Cormier say that Makhachev might actually be even more dangerous than Khabib was at his peak.
It was weird. Dana came out a couple weeks ago and said that when he talked to Dustin after the fight, he said he was freaking out, or it was Dustin or Conor, one of them was freaking out because they said they never thought another man could do that to them under Khabib because of his strength and his control and the way that he manipulated you on the ground. I think Makhachev possesses a lot of those same type of qualities, very similar when he gets you on the ground. But because he's a better striker, I feel he's even more dangerous than Khabib was during his prime.
Talking about Makhachev's striking, some of his recent opponents like Charles Oliveira, Volkanovski and Poirier are all known for their powerful punches and kicks. But Islam didn't just take their best shots, he dished out some serious hits of his own, proving he's ready to trade blows with anyone. His striking really stood out in his first title defense at UFC 284 against Alex Volkanovski, who was the #1 pound-for-pound fighter at the time. Even though it was a close fight and many people didn't give him enough credit for standing toe-to-toe with one of the UFC's best strikers, opinions were split. Some thought Islam lost, while others disagreed. Then came their rematch at UFC 294. Makhachev showed just how elite his striking and fight IQ are. He knocked Volkanovski out cold with a perfectly timed head kick, marking only the third loss in Volkanovski's career and the second by knockout. Volkanovski himself acknowledged Makhachev's skill, calling him the rightful #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC. But let's not forget about what really makes Makhachev and pretty much any Dagestani fighter so formidable: their grappling and wrestling. Just like former UFC champion Khabib Nurmagomedov, Makhachev uses wrestling and grappling-heavy approach that has brought him a ton of success. This strategy is all about strength, and according to their teammate, UFC and Bellator veteran Josh Thompson, Makhachev actually has the edge in overall strength. When you see Makhachev in the Octagon, you can't help but be impressed by his power. I mean, this guy has won 7 UFC fights by submission. He's shown his skill on the canvas in so many different ways, which proves how special he is once the fight hits the ground. His submission victories include wins against Leo Kuntz, Keishan Johnson, Drew Dober, Diego Moses, Dan Hooker, and Charles Oliveira. Defeating submission king Charles Oliveira by submission to win the undisputed lightweight title was particularly special and really highlighted his exceptional grappling skills. Despite Makhachev proving his skills time and again, there are still doubters. Some people think he has a lot to prove, especially because his resume only includes a few big names. They usually just mention Volkanovski and Charles Oliveira. However, Islam silenced them once more by defeating one of the best fighters, Dustin Poirier, at UFC 302 to retain his UFC lightweight championship. Before the fight, even Dustin had some interesting things to say about Makhachev. Winning against Dustin pushed Makhachev's win streak to 14 fights, making it the longest in the history of the UFC's 155-pound division, and the third longest win streak by any UFC athlete ever, regardless of weight class. Plus, Makhachev is now tied with 4 other champions: BJ Penn, Frankie Edgar, Benson Henderson, and Khabib Nurmagomedov at the top for the most consecutive UFC lightweight title defenses. Despite all these achievements, UFC President Dana White still poured cold water on the idea of Makhachev being the best pound-for-pound fighter in MMA. Despite what Dana White thinks, Makhachev still holds the top spot in this month's pound-for-pound rankings after submitting Poirier in the 5th round at UFC 302. Makhachev isn't just winning fights, he's dismantling his opponents, turning them into human origami and dominating their minds and bodies. This is especially evident in how he defeated Volkanovski twice in 2023 and claimed the belt from Oliveira in October 2022. For a fighter who spent years in the Nurmagomedov's shadow, Makhachev has truly come into his own. Whatever the future holds, it's time to stop questioning if he'll live up to the Nurmagomedov's legacy and start recognizing that he's on track to surpass it. Let me know your thoughts on Islam Makhachev. Do you think he has what it takes to become one of the greatest fighters in history, or is he just riding a wave of luck? And as always, don't forget to drop a like on the video and smash that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.